What about, these sneaker drops that they do, high demand, limited edition drops? What if you were able to do that in a token gated fashion where you would allow holders of your NFTs to have preferential access to a sneaker drop, right? And so that's what we launched with them in April of this year. And it was super successful. It seems like people loved the experience and it was seamless. And the way it works is you first link your wallets, and a lot of people already had done this. You link your wallets where you hold your Adidas NFTs to the Tokenproof app, and then you can link that with the Confirmed app, which is the app that Adidas uses to do these limited edition sneaker drops.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Wolfson, the host and founder of Web3 Deep Dive Podcast. Web3 Deep Dive Podcast focuses on real-world Web3 use cases to help you better understand how Web3 is being applied today and how it may be leveraged in the future. If this sounds interesting, I encourage you to subscribe, like, and share the content that you're seeing today to help spread the word about Web3. I also want to take this time to thank the sponsors behind Web3 Deep Dive Podcast. Worsta is producing Web3 Deep Dive Podcast and is a global technology consultancy agency with headquarters in Austin, Texas, and Quito, Ecuador. Worsta works with enterprises to help them make better technology decisions for their businesses. I also want to take the time to thank Banksa. Banksa is a leading crypto infrastructure payments provider. Be sure to check out Banksa for your Web3 project today. And without further ado, let's get started with Web3 Deep Dive. In this episode, I'll be interviewing Fonz Olvera. He is the founder and CEO of Tokenproof. I'm so excited to speak with Fonz, so let's get right to the episode. Hey Fonz, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for joining us here in the studio at Web3 Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me. It was easy. It was like 3 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Good. That's the benefit of having the studio in Austin.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. So you are the CEO and founder of Tokenproof, correct?
Yep. That's right.
Right. Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about Tokenproof and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so Tokenproof is a platform for individuals to unlock utility out of their crypto tokens that they own. And it's a way for brands to build utility and experiences into those tokens that they issue. Got
it. Okay. So NFTs are kind of having a moment right now when it comes to brands. So can you go into a little detail there as to why it's important for brands to start thinking about leveraging NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still in this pilot phase, and I still think that there's a lot of work to be done to make this more frictionless for the user, but there's certainly interesting brands that are coming into the space like Adidas, Nike, Starbucks, PepsiCo has done a bunch of things as well. And I think what's interesting about leveraging Web3 is these brands have a lot of intermediates between themselves and their fans and their consumers, right? And so Web3 allows them to disintermediate this relationship and create more of a meaningful one and a direct relationship with those consumers. And so, like I said, it's still the early days, but the future is definitely promising based on what we've seen.
Right. When was Tokenproof started?
We started Tokenproof in January of last year, so January of 2022. And it's a pivot from a previous business. There's a whole story around that.
Okay. But when you created Tokenproof, was the intention to help brands and creators and consumers leverage NFTs?
We weren't thinking so much about the brands. We were thinking about people that held NFTs.
Okay.
Because I joined the space in the summer of 2021, like a lot of people, and I went through the whole phase of euphoria and bought my Bored Ape and a bunch of tokens that are worthless now. And I noticed that there was a lot of scams in the space. A lot of people were connecting their wallets to malicious sites and then getting their tokens drained or stolen, right? And so that was one thing. And the other thing is I went to the first Ape Fest by the Bored Ape Yacht Club in New York, October 2021. And I noticed that the mechanisms for me to prove that I owned a Bored Ape, and also there was a bunch of other parties that required you to have an NFT. the mechanisms for me to prove that I own those NFTs were pretty much non-existent. And so at some point, I realized that we could build something better that allowed individuals to prove that they own NFTs without connecting their wallet every single time, and also making it easier for those users to prove that they own these tokens in the real world. So, and that's really what Tokenproof is. It's a way to carry your on-chain identity where you can prove your on-chain identity to anybody that requires you to have certain tokens, without really exposing those tokens, while making it easy for you to do that in the real world. So,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay. So I want to, as we go, we'll dig into how that actually works, because that's really, you're solving a real world problem here when it comes to implementing Web3 in the real world. Let's talk a little bit about a use case. So Adidas just announced a partnership with Tokenproof.
Yep.
Okay. So what are they doing with Tokenproof?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we're doing with Adidas, like they like to pronounce it the proper German way.
I pronounce it the American way.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
So we started with Adidas in December at Art Basel by hosting or powering their event, their IRL event. So Tokenproof, a lot of people know us from our ticketing product and our ticketing infrastructure, and it basically, you can equate it to the Eventbrite of Web3, right? It's a way for people who need to host an event that requires you to hold tokens to be able to do that, where you can publish a site for people to purchase those tickets, prove that they own the NFT that is required, and then have those tickets in the Tokenproof app. And so that's a lot of what we do. And so that's how we started with Adidas. And while we were in Miami, I floated the idea of, what about, these sneaker drops that they do, high demand, limited edition drops? What if you were able to do that in a token gated fashion, where you would allow holders of your NFTs to have preferential access to a sneaker drop? Right. And so that's what we launched with them in April of this year. And it was super successful. It seems like people loved the experience, and it was seamless. And the way it works is you first link your wallets, and a lot of people already had done this. You link your wallets where you hold your Adidas NFTs to the Tokenproof app. And then you can link that with the Confirmed app, which is the app that Adidas uses to do these limited edition sneaker drops, right? And so the only way that you can link your wallets to the Adidas app is through Tokenproof. And so, like I said, it's the portability of your on-chain identities, having this sort of keychain where you hold your on-chain identity, your different wallets from different services, different blockchains, and you're able to prove that you own these wallets to somebody else very, very easily, right? And so in this case, it was linking one of those wallets or multiple wallets with the Adidas app so that you would have access to this limited edition sneaker drop, where they use their ape that they bought, and they named Indigo Hertz, and that's how they branded that particular collection. It wasn't only sneakers, it was a hoodie, it was a whole product drop. And I'm sure that in the future we'll be doing more of those. And one of the interesting benefits is that a lot of times, and people that are in the sneaker collectibles world know this, is that a lot of the times the product doesn't go to the actual fans, it goes to bots and resellers. This happens in the ticketing industry. I mean, you've heard about the Taylor Swift controversy around Ticketmaster and not being able to get the tickets that should have gone to their fans. And so what happens by way of implementing Web3 into these limited edition sneaker drops is that now the product is really going to the fans and not to bots. It's going to actual humans, not the resellers. And so I think this is very interesting to explore, just for that benefit.
Mm-hmm. So when you say that these products are not going to bots or resellers, so they have to be like a non-fungible token in order to ensure that? They have to be like the sneaker with Adidas, excuse my pronunciation, that actually has to be like an NFT, and then it gets acquired, and then you can prove that that's acquired by a human. Is that what you're saying?
So Adidas issued NFTs as part of their original collection called Into the Metaverse, which is now called Alts by Adidas. And so there was already an NFT community for Adidas, right? So they already had a bunch of tokens that were issued, and they had a number of activations and another product drop that they did originally in collaboration with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, with the Pixel Vault and G Money. And so there was a thriving community around that effort. And so now it was linking that NFT community and bridging that NFT community with their traditional mechanisms to sell product, which is the Confirmed app, right? And so the Confirmed app is used by millions of people to get access to these product drops. But what we did was the first ever token gated drop, so that these holders in the community would get preferential access before anybody else by linking their wallet. And so to a reseller, to a bot, this would have been extremely difficult, because first they need to have the NFT to participate. They need to link the wallet to Tokenproof. They need to use Tokenproof to link the wallet with the Confirmed app. And with Tokenproof, you must have a human operating that app, right? When you want to access one of these sneaker drops. And you couldn't have spun up multiple wallets, because you would have needed an NFT in each one of those wallets. So there's a lot of fraud prevention mechanisms that went into architecting this, and I'm pretty sure that the possibilities for a reseller or for a bot are greatly diminished by using this.
Got it. My last question around this topic is, so with the drop and having access to that stuff first, are those physical products that are being sent to the people that are holding the NFTs? Like, do they have, can they say, oh, I want this sneaker before anybody else has access to it, and they get that physical product? Yeah,
they did get actually, it was pretty incredible to see that people placed their orders on day one and they got the product day 3.
So my question is this, because NFTs and Web3, it's all anonymous, basically. How did you ensure that the users got their physical merchandise? If I don't know if they're just providing you with a wallet address, or if they're giving you actual addresses where things can be sent to their homes.
Yeah, I mean, they're not giving Tokenproof their details, their shipping information, right?
Got it.
But they're giving Adidas their shipping information. And, I think this whole thing about anonymity is very valid, but it's only a subset of the population that we see in Web3 that really cares about being anonymous. And, there's going to be use cases where that's very important. But I think the general majority of the people are not necessarily going to care that much about giving up that in exchange for other benefits.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of these platforms early on, like I know someone who has a tokenized wine platform, and part of the thing was you buy the wine NFT, then you get the physical bottles later on. But he encountered a problem where he only had wallet addresses of the users. So when the bottles were there, he didn't know where to send them to. And so I think it's interesting that you said, Tokenproof is solving this problem, but then Adidas, the users give their information to Adidas if they want their physical sneakers,
for sure.
Right?
Yep.
And so that's really interesting to combine the two solutions rather than just being left with, a bunch of sneakers where you don't know where to send them
That's
to.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. I was also reading that Tokenproof is doing something around YouTube to help creators. And I don't know if this is something that you can discuss, and I don't know if it's even been launched yet. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so we have a product called Proof of Experience.
Okay, right.
Which, think about YouTube podcaster. So let's say that you as a creator of the podcast want to put a QR code. So you can put a QR code on the video, and then we can time gate it so that it's only scannable within the first, 6 hours of it being uploaded. And so people can now scan it and get a token that is proof of viewership, for example. And so that gives you a direct relationship with your fans that are watching the show. and you can incentivize them to watch every single episode, and then you can reward them in different ways. And so that's what proof of experience is about. And it could apply to a TV show. It could apply to audio only, because it doesn't have to be a QR code. It could be a secret word. So there's a lot of things that we can do with this. And it's all about creating that meaningful and direct relationship between the creators and the fans, because right now YouTube does not give you direct access to those fans, right? And what happens if YouTube disappears? Like, where do those, how do you reach those fans, right? So this is fostering an environment where you own that relationship and not a platform owns that relationship, right? Which I think is the future of how brands are going to operate and how creators are going to operate when it comes to loyalty and yeah.
Right. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Obviously, I'd like to learn more about that, but
let's set it up for the show.
Yeah, no, I would love to, seriously. But my question is, I guess, would you have to have a relationship with YouTube in order? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you would just render this QR code within the video that you publish. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then you use Tokenproof to set the rules, right? Like, what token are you going to issue? Is it going to be on Polygon? Is it going to be a POAP? And then what happens afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. And then how long is it scannable for? Is it time gated? Is it not? So, yeah. Cool.
So basically, you're allowing creators the capability to issue their own tokens through Tokenproof.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And creators can be anyone from like podcasters on YouTube to, I don't know, people on TikTok, just anyone creating content that wants to have their own token to better engage with their community.
Yep. 100%.
Okay. And has this been launched yet?
It's been launched and it's available. We haven't implemented it. We literally just launched it maybe last month.
Okay.
And so we're still in the early days, but yeah, we want to find the right partner to give it a spin.
Cool. Okay. Interesting. In your opinion, why do you think NFTs are the way to go in terms of building community? You know, creators with their audience and brands with their consumers. Why can't it just be a typical loyalty program, for instance? Like, why NFTs?
Yeah. And I don't think that our NFTs are suited for every single, like what I see in the space all the time is that there's people that are very religious about Web3 that want to implement Web3 for everything. And it's not meant for everything. But I do think that the future of consumer loyalty involves Web3 because, and I sound like a broken record at this point, because it allows brands to create that direct and meaningful relationship with their fans. Because now that I have an Adidas NFT and that I'm being rewarded for participating with the brand in many different ways, then I feel like I have ownership and I have a little bit of equity in the brand, and there's this emotional connection that is important versus just having I don't know, thousands of miles in my United Airlines account. It's different because this thing is sitting in my digital wallet. It's more tangible than my airline miles, and I can also monetize them if I want, right? So if I participate a lot with the brand, let's say that I'm participating with Starbucks Odyssey, every single time that they have something that can be activated, whether it's learning about the brand through educational videos or answering a trivia and getting those Starbucks stamps, I can sell those stamps. No, I mean, this was not possible before. And so I think having that piece of ownership changes the game, but also for a brand, especially the interoperability aspect of it and the openness of the blockchain opens a whole new arena for them to target new consumers. And what I really mean by that is that Nike is also in Web3. And so Nike could offer something to holders of the Adidas tokens, right? I mean, that's very interesting. And so now there's a new way of acquiring users by seeing what brands that user is participating with and what tokens from other brands that user owns to target them and segment them. So the blockchain suddenly becomes this huge open CRM that brands can leverage. That is super interesting. It's not something that could be done when everything is done in isolation.
Yeah, definitely. That is interesting. That's a good use case. And we'll probably see that unfold moving forward. But right now, I think we're still in the experimental phases, which kind of leads me to my next question. Has it been challenging or easy to get brands on board with Tokenproof? Are they like super excited about this? Aloe Yoga, and I just interviewed Angelique. They're also really
love her.
Yeah, she's great, and they're doing a lot with Web3. So I think some brands are really excited about it, but I just want to get your opinion on it. Is it challenging to convince brands to leverage Web3 platforms?
It's probably the most challenging it's ever been. So for crypto native brands like the Bored Ape Yacht Club and Proof Collective and Doodles, it's easy because they are crypto native, right? They were born out of this space, and their consumers are usually, and their holders are usually crypto native as well. With traditional brands, there's a number of challenges. One of them is that the user really doesn't know how to transact in Web3. And so asking them to open up a Web3 wallet and protecting their seed phrase and, getting them to understand that the blockchain is open and that everything you do in the blockchain is pretty much irreversible. So if you're not careful, you're, out of luck. There's no technical support line. And so that's one challenge. Unfortunately, what we're seeing now is that there's tools, including Tokenproof, that make it easier for the regular consumer to participate and interact with the space. So making it easier is something that is being addressed and continues to be a challenge, but it's getting easier for the general consumer. Things like MPC wallets that allow you to have self-custody of your assets without involving a seed phrase, and maybe you can use your email to sign up and get your wallet. That's all positive. The other big challenge, and I'm not sure that we can solve it, but we can do our part in calling our representatives and pushing for proper regulation to be in place, is that there's no regulation, but the SEC is threatening everybody, and there's lawsuits out there, and Coinbase has been challenged, and so traditional brands are scared about coming into Web3, and their legal teams are very apprehensive about coming into Web3 because the rules have not been set, right? And so we need to know what the rules are so we can play by the rules, because everybody wants to play by the rules, but we need Congress and we need our government to act to establish what those rules are so that we can, adhere to them and participate. And once that happens, then brands are going to come in a more meaningful way. Right now, I think that somebody like Aloe or Adidas or Nike or Starbucks, it's a handful of very brave companies that are participating in the space, but I bet you they would be participating way more, and there would be more brands participating if we had that issue cleared.
Banxa is the leading crypto on and off-ramp solution. Through an extensive and growing network of global and local payment solutions and regulatory licenses, Banxa helps businesses provide seamless integration of crypto and fiat for global audiences safely and compliantly with lower fees and higher conversion rates. For more information on how to integrate Banxa into your project or product, visit banxa.com. Yeah, definitely. Because like you mentioned, there's so much potential because of blockchain technology and the openness of it and what can be done with interoperability. So yeah, but I also think it's interesting is like the language. I don't know if Adidas considers, those as NFTs or digital assets or proof of ownership. Like, I don't know what they're actually calling them. Do they call them NFTs?
Yeah, Adidas is very crypto native in that way, and that it's an NFT. Most of the people interacting are crypto native, and they are transacting with their MetaMask or Trust Wallet or their Ledger. And so I think that's positive. I think that when they want to start approaching the non-crypto natives, and I think that will happen, it needs to get easier, right? And we see a trend of NFTs now being called digital collectibles. I'm all for it. It's not like you visit a website and you go, oh, I'm using HTTP. Like nobody calls it that, even though that's what it is, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think Aloe says digital collectibles.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I was so excited for this Aloe NFT thing with Mental Health Awareness Day, where you go into the shop and buy something and get your affirmation. It's an NFT and it goes into the MoonPay wallet and all of this. So I went to the Aloe store on South Congress, and I bought something just so I could get this NFT thing and see the experience. And I went up to the register and I was so excited. I said, "Oh, do I get my NFT?" And the girl was like, "What? NFT?" She had no idea what I was talking about. And she's like, "Oh yeah, you scan this and then you get an email and it gives you an affirmation." But she, and so there is this need for education.
For sure.
Because I think a lot of these non-crypto natives, you go into the store talking about NFTs and they're like, "What?"
100%.
They don't know what you're talking about.
There's a lot of education that still needs to happen as to what this is, this, and sometimes some of us that are deep into this world, it's second nature, but I think it's always refreshing to teach this. And like when I go out to dinner with my friends that are not in the space and they ask me what I do and what NFTs are and how the blockchain works, it's always refreshing to practice that, because you understand what the challenges in the education is and how much we still need to do to get people accustomed to this new frontier.
Definitely.
But that's how it was in 1995, 1996, and I remember it. And so, and people thought we were crazy to talk about the internet and being able to order pizza on your computer and having it show up at the door.
Yeah.
It happens.
Exactly.
But it took time, and it's going to take time.
Right.
And I think patience is going to be key for a lot of these brands and for us consumers.
Definitely. So I want to shift gears a bit, because I know that Tokenproof was leveraged during NFTNYC. Yeah. Was it this year or last year or both years? Both. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you.
Let's talk about NFT for ticketing.
Yeah.
NFTs for ticketing. So tell us a little bit about how Tokenproof was leveraged at NFTNYC and what problems were solved there by having NFT tickets.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these people and a lot of these brands, crypto native brands like the Bored Ape Yacht Club and others in 2021, they were using clunky mechanisms because really there wasn't anything like Tokenproof, so that somebody could show up with a QR code to prove that they own an NFT in order to get into these parties and events and activations. And when we showed up in 2022, so it was when was that? June 2022, and that's when we powered Ape Fest and about 85 other activations at NFTNYC. That was our big coming out party, because suddenly there was this easy mechanism for people to get into these parties and hold their tickets to the events and claim the tickets to the events and activations. And so I think we really changed the game when it came to token gated experiences in the real world, and we're the de facto leader in the space for doing that. Our tickets are not NFTs. I want to make that clear, because a lot of people think that our tickets are tradable in the blockchain and that they sit on the blockchain. Our tickets up until now are not proper NFTs. They are off-chain, right? But in order to get a ticket to one of these activations, you need to have a token in your wallet. So we're basically token gating the issuance of these tickets to where if you hold a Bored Ape, or a Mutant Ape, you can get a ticket to Ape Fest, and that shows up in your Tokenproof wallet. And then you can show up at the gate and show this animated QR code that rotates and changes every 10 seconds. And the reason why we do that is to prevent people from using screenshots or screen recordings. So we have a lot of fraud prevention mechanisms that we've implemented into the platform. And so that's Tokenproof. It's how can we make it easy for somebody that owns digital assets to make use of those digital assets online, but also in the real world, and especially in the real world. And it doesn't have to be events. It doesn't have to be Ape Fest. It could be getting a discount at Sephora because you own a Boss Beauty or a World of Women token. And those are the experiences that we're starting to power.
Right. And so basically what I think you're saying is you prevent someone from just taking a screenshot, going to Sephora and say, "Oh, I own this NFT.
That's right.
This Boss Beauty, and now I get, a discount." So by having it go through Tokenproof, you ensure that proof of ownership, I guess.
Proof of ownership at the time of verification, because what happens is when you get that QR code scanned Tokenproof goes to the blockchain in real time to make sure you're still in possession of the necessary tokens at that moment. Not when you claim your ticket, but when you show up at the door, right? And so that is true real-time token gating that we're doing.
Yeah, and we met at VCon, and I know that, which was a great conference, and I know that Gary V was doing NFT tickets with the V Friends.
Yes.
So I wonder, are you doing anything with VCon? With their ticketing mechanism, or will you be doing anything?
Not with their ticketing mechanism.
Okay.
Gary, we need to use Tokenproof next year. At some point, I think that we'll collaborate in some way, and we've collaborated with Gary and VFriends, and also Vayner3 is a great partner to us. And I think they did it the right way. They dropped an NFT that was the ticket to VCon. So if you owned a VFriend, you were airdropped a VCon ticket NFT, right? And then you downloaded the VCon app and linked your wallet to the app, and you also show one of these animated QR codes, and it was a properly token gated event. So they did it really well.
So okay.
The important piece here is that if you were airdropped one of these tickets, and you did not want to attend or could not attend VCon, you could trade them in the open market. Right, so somebody that does not hold a VFriend and did not get tickets could now buy it from you and attend VCon. So I think that's very interesting. That's definitely the future of ticketing, is where we use open standards. It's all interoperable, where you could purchase a ticket on Ticketmaster, have it as an NFT and sell it on StubHub, or have it listed on multiple marketplaces. And if it sells in one, it's delisted from the other ones. There's so much that we can do with NFT ticketing. But what's interesting is what happens after you attend the event, because now you have the digital version of the ticket stub. I'm a big fan of concerts, and so I have hundreds of physical ticket stubs that I keep just as mementos. And so your NFT becomes that memento, and it's digital proof that you went to the event, that you attended the event, right? So let's say that you went to all of these Katy Perry shows during her last tour. Well, now Taylor Swift could target you and give you some sort of pre-sale because you attended Katy Perry's shows, right? And so there's this thing of, I call it interoperable loyalty, that I think is super, super interesting. And maybe because you attended the Taylor Swift show, now you have access to this online merch drop that is only accessible for those that attended the events by connecting their wallet and seeing that you have that digital ticket stub. I mean, I think there's such a compelling case for somebody to implement this, and I hope it's Ticketmaster. But what's important is that it has to be open, it has to be interoperable, so that you can have multiple stakeholders and multiple players read and interact with those tokens that you hold in your wallet.
And when you say wallet, so is Tokenproof just the technology that's enabling all of this, or is there a wallet? Because what I'm wondering is, are all of these NFTs sitting in one digital wallet, or are they just like scattered about in random wallets?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, Tokenproof operates under bring your own wallet, right? So you can have as many wallets linked to the Tokenproof app as you want, and it's from multiple blockchains, multiple wallet providers, whether it's Ledger or MetaMask. You can link all of those to your Tokenproof app. It could also be a cross-mint wallet, could be custodial services like Nifty Gateway. So we are very interoperable in that sense, but it's bring your own wallet, right? You have to have a wallet beforehand when you download Tokenproof. Now we're evolving into having our own wallet within the Tokenproof app, and this is going to help us serve brands that want to cater to non-crypto natives, to where somebody like my dad that does not know anything about Web3 could participate in Web3 by downloading the Tokenproof app, registering with his email address, and we're going to give him a self-custodial wallet within the Tokenproof app. And he's not going to have to worry about seed phrases, but he's going to be able to participate by, walking into a store, scanning a QR code and minting a token. Or maybe you'll have the proof of experience concept implemented into the podcast, and he'll be able to scan that QR code and get that proof of viewership minted into his wallet and start participating in interesting ways in Web3. So we will have our own wallet within the Tokenproof app pretty soon. But the bring your own wallet is never going to change. So you're always going to be able to bring wallets into Tokenproof. There's challenges that I see, true challenges, and I see very few people talking about this challenge right now when it comes to Starbucks. You sign up with Starbucks and they give you a wallet. Nike, you sign up with Nike and they give you a wallet. So now your on-chain identity is starting to be fragmented and segregated into multiple wallets, right? And so for somebody that wants to, for a marketer that wants to target certain populations or segments of those populations, it's becoming increasingly hard because all they see is wallet addresses with tokens. But how do I know if it's the same user that is holding all of those wallets, right? So Tokenproof acts as an aggregator or a keychain where you can have as many wallets as you have. And then a marketer on the other side could say, hey, let's send a personalized offer because we now support airdropping coupons and offers into users through the Tokenproof app. Let's target somebody that owns both a Starbucks NFT and a Nike NFT, but also a Bored Ape, right? And so now we can target that user even though those tokens sit on different wallets. And so having this way of aggregating users' wallets while also being consent forward, privacy forward, is very important to us. And I think this opens up a lot of possibilities. We could even become some sort of ad platform in the future where marketers and brands can target certain segments of the population, right? And for users to be able to aggregate their on-chain identity in an easy way versus having to deal with all of these multiple wallets and identities.
Definitely.
Micro identities, I call them.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. You made a lot of important points. I do think that the whole self-custody and just not having people have to worry about a seed phrase is important. And actually, it kind of brings me to I just wrote about this, about the Ledger Recover.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with Pascal, the CEO of Ledger, that in order to bring on the next 100 million users to the crypto space, you need an easier way for them to manage their assets. And so I think by having a solution where a user doesn't have to remember a 24-word seed phrase is needed. And so I think that in order to do everything you kind of just said, that's a really important aspect, is just making it easier for people to know that their assets are safe, but without having to do what we traditionally do now in the crypto space. Yeah,
I mean, self-custody is super important, and it's most important to us crypto natives that grew with that, idea of decentralization and making sure we have control of our digital assets that we own. Because, I mean, it's really not your keys, not your coins, right? Not your assets. And so I think Ledger is targeting the non-crypto natives with the Recover product, and it's great. And they very transparently have said this is not for everybody. You know, if you have more than $50,000 worth of digital assets, this is probably not going to be for you. But it does help in onboarding the masses by giving them a more seamless way without having to write this 24-word seed phrase in a piece of paper and then storing it in a vault or in several places. Or I mean, there's friction, and that's what I mentioned earlier. There's tools that are coming out that are making it easier for regular folks to transact and interact in Web3. I think seed phrases are going to become a thing of the past anyway, whether it's through Ledger or not. It's there's things like account abstraction wallets, MPC wallets that we are implementing as well. That does not involve seed phrases, but it's still self-custody. So I mean, we're seeing a lot of improvement, and we're still early. I mean, it's a lot of people think that we've gone through this roller coaster throughout the years, and that there's a lot of things that have happened, but we're still in this pilot phase of Web3, in my opinion.
Yeah. What technology does Tokenproof leverage, by the way? Like, what blockchain network are you guys using?
We support Ethereum mainnet, Solana, Polygon, CeeLo, Gnosis. We're going to support Near
in
the near future. And so we're supporting we're totally agnostic to blockchains. We can support any blockchain.
Got it. Okay, good. That's important.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I wanted to ask you, so my next question, I was going to ask you, with the NFT market being the way it is, are we still going to see NFTs being, the model that we've been talking about, leveraged by brands, creators, consumers? And then I was like, that's kind of a silly question because at the end of the day, it's the technology. It's not about the value of NFTs anymore, in my opinion. I mean, because was it a few years ago or 2019, the NFT boom, when everybody was buying NFTs and getting rich quick and trading them. But now I think it's like calmed down, and now it's just more about like this technology can be used for so many benefits, right?
Yeah, I truly think that we over-financialized the space. And it's still over-financialized in a lot of things. A lot of it is about flipping and making money and speculation. And I think that we need to get away from that. I think there's still always going to be that sector of the space that is going to be about flipping. But I think we need to move on from that. And you're going to start seeing a lot of more free NFTs, especially when it comes to loyalty from brands, loyalty programs from brands architected in Web3, where a lot of the tokens that you're acquiring are going to be free based on your participation with the brand and based on how you're interacting with that brand. And yeah, you'll be able to monetize the tokens that you own, but it's going to be to a less speculative degree than it is now. And we knew that this was going to happen. We knew that there was going to be a big crash. Gary talked about it all the time. A lot of people didn't believe it, but I think it's healthy for the space to flush out those speculators that are only here to flip tokens. I buy a Bored Ape for $100 and I sell it for $1 million. I think that those days are over.
Definitely. Although my one concern would be, and I agree, I think those days are over for sure. And we're even seeing that with the events the events I've been going to, you can see that it's a lot less scammy.
Yeah.
But with people being able to, and I guess people have always been able to create their own tokens, right?
Yeah.
But with Tokenproof, I wonder if we're going to start seeing more creators, like maybe I'll create a Web3 deep dive token or a Rachel token. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because are these creators going to have good intentions or bad intentions? Like, are they going to create tokens to actually communicate with their communities, or are they going to also want to create them and try to, see the value of these tokens and see how much money can be made?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder how who is it? Ben, what's his name?
Ben Darith. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Ben Darith.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to express any opinions on this whatsoever.
I will.
Go for it. I would love you to, because I just, I guess the only thing is I don't know why he has created his own token. I mean, maybe it will be useful for the community.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? The beauty of the blockchain is that anything can happen. And that's truly the beauty. And technology can always be used for good intentions or bad intentions or objectives. And so, I think it's absolutely stupid to send money to an Ethereum wallet. This is why we built smart contracts, so you could understand what the mechanism was when you were sending that money to the smart contract. It was open. You could see the source code. Just sending money to somebody that promised you that something might happen, I don't know. I don't like it, but it's entirely valid that people can both raise money and send money and eventually maybe get scammed and learn from it. Like, who knows? I think it's permissible, and that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Interesting. There's a lot that we have to just wait and see what happens with this industry. But I've been in it since 2017, so I've seen a lot of.
Nice.
How long have you been in the crypto industry?
I mean, I bought crypto in 2017 as well, and I was a passive investor, and I left. You know what? I learned about self-custody early on, and so even in 2017, I had my ledger and I had my Bitcoin and Ethereum in my ledger, but I didn't do anything, and it was largely a promise to myself. I said, "You're gonna buy these tokens. They might go to zero, or I might become a billionaire, but I'm not gonna do anything in 5 years." So I don't care where they're at in terms of value. I'm not going to touch them in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I came into the NFT space after I saw Beeple sell his piece for $69 million. And I said, I got to pay attention to this space. Something is happening. And I was doing CPR on a business that we ended up shutting down. And so I couldn't really participate in early 21. But then around May of 21, so 2 years ago, feels like a lifetime, but 2 years ago, I decided to take a break from work after we had shut down that business and just dive deep into Web3 and see what it was about. I did not know how to set up a MetaMask back then. So it's been, a great experience. And that's when I said, hey, I have some ETH that, has some value now. So let's put it to work and let's learn. And that's when I bought Cool Cats, Bored Apes, and a bunch of other stuff and became a part of the community, started learning about Web3 and meeting people. And it's crazy that the business that we had shut down, we pivoted into what is now Tokenproof. And, the Bored Apes were and still are like my favorite rock band, right? Like the equivalent to that. And so powering Ape Fest in 2022 after attending the first one as a fan was awesome. So that's been sort of my journey.
Yeah. I like that. With my journey as well, in terms of crypto, I feel like you really learn about it once it's like becomes a hands-on experience. So for me, getting paid in Bitcoin in 2019, and I had to accept it because that was the only form of payment. And I was hesitant because I didn't want to have to deal with self-custody and keeping it safe and this and that. But you learn a lot, and you learn how to deal with it when you have to, I guess.
Yep.
And it's really enriching. So I think hands-on experiences are good, which is what I hope to see with Tokenproof.
For sure.
Because I think that's how we get new users into the space, by showing them how to actually do this and showing them how easy it is.
Especially real use cases, right? Yeah. Because if we stay on the, I'm going to be flipping these JPEGs, idea, it's not going to progress because it's not a real use case.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to wrap things up a bit. So do you have any final thoughts, anything that we didn't cover already that you just want to mention?
No, just follow me on Twitter at FonzGM and follow Tokenproof at Tokenproof. And please reach out if you want to collaborate or if you need anything from us. And, we're going to do our part to onboard the next 100 million users into Web3 and making it easier for both individuals and brands to do cool stuff in this space. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm excited for Tokenproof. So, Fonz, thank you again for joining us here today in Austin at the Web3 Deep Dive studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you to Web3 Deep Dive's executive producer, Deanna Dial-Worsta. Thank you to Web3 Deep Dive's director, Alex Wilcox. And thank you to Web3 Deep Dive's producer, Mark Gammo. I also want to thank Donna Albo for providing the music for this podcast. And of course, thank you to the listeners for joining us for this episode of Web3 Deep Dive. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help spread the love and get the word out there about Web3 Deep Dive. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.